Hey slowpokes, it's Taurus 101 here. 1 equals 2. Now I know your understanding of math disagrees with that, but your understanding of math is objectively wrong. And we'll get to why in a sec, so hold your Taurus. Math is considered by most to be a waste of time, and most would be right. The math that we learned in school is probably something that you'll never use, unless you become a math teacher or a physicist or a programmer or a financial analyst or something like that. In which case, you should probably start ordering your pocket protectors now. Me? Nah, I just want to flip burgers for the rest of my life, so I don't need any of that. This bit wasn't a joke. It's my dream to own a sandwich restaurant. I literally want to flip burgers for the rest of my life. But in all seriousness, math may be a waste of time, but it is important. And if waste of time equals important, it should make perfect sense why 1 equals 2, but I digress. The math we learn in school isn't so that we can use it all the time in our day-to-day lives. It's to help teach problem-solving skills. It's not about whether we can solve for the inverse of a differential equation, but that we know what kinds of problems we will face in our lives, and how to use the information we are given to work around them. Painting walls uses surface area, managing a bank account uses geometric sequences, keeping track of how many of Tim's 60 watermelons he gives to Susan uses basic subtraction and also government spies. The list goes on. And there are even bigger problems we face in our lives. What is the meaning of life? Why are we here? What is love? Now, what if we ignored all that and did math? So now that we know why we want to know why 1 equals 2, we can get started. Let me start by addressing a common method of proving that 1 equals 2. The common argument is as follows. Let a equal b. A squared equals ab. A squared minus b squared equals ab minus b squared. Factoring out the quadratic equation, we get a plus b times a minus b equals b times a minus b. A minus b cancels out, leaving a plus b equals b, which is the same thing as b plus b equals b, which is the same as 2b equals b. Dividing by b on both sides, you get 2 equals 1. Sure, it looks fine on the surface, but the big problem here is that when we cancel out a minus b is the same as b minus b, which is 0. And because we have to divide by a minus b in order to remove it, everything falls flat because you cannot divide by a 0 in math. Luckily, there is a better solution. Let's begin with a completely unrelated number. -6 is cool, right? Now we can say with 100% certainty that -6 equals 4 minus 10, and that -6 equals 9 minus 15. Don't leave yet, things are about to get real weird. Our equation can be rewritten as -6 equals 2 squared minus 2 times 5 equals 3 squared minus 3 times 5. And if you ever get confused as to what just happened in our mathematical journey, you can check this little area over here. Our 4 became 2 squared, our 10 became 2 times 5, our 9 became 3 squared, and 15 became 3 times 5. Now, a divided by 2 times 2 is the same thing as a, because multiplying and dividing by 2 cancel each other out. So we can simply apply this to our 5's, making our new equation -6 equals 2 squared minus 2 times 5 over 2 equals 3 squared minus 2 times 3 times 5 over 2. The reason that the 2 and the 3 are in the places they are is because the order in which you multiply numbers together doesn't matter like the order that you subtract or divide does. So keep holding that tortoise. It'll make sense why we did this in a second. You can add things to the equation as much as you want, so long as you do the same thing to all other sides of the problem, so that they stay equal. So we are going to add 5 over 2 squared to all sides, leaving us with -6 plus 5 over 2 squared equals 2 squared minus 2 times 5 over 2 plus 5 over 2 squared equals 3 squared minus 2 times 3 times 5 over 2 plus 5 over 2 squared. It's starting to get unruly, so let's start simplifying again. 5 over 2 is the same as 2.5. 2.5 squared is 6.25. Negative 6 plus 6.25 equals 0.25. So we can plug that back into the thing like so. Now we can tackle everything on the other sides. There's a nice formula that we can do to untangle all this number spaghetti into more manageable bites, which goes as follows. A minus b squared equals a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. Luckily, what we have matches the formula perfectly, which is the reason that I put the 2 from earlier where it was, instead of the 3. We can apply this to both sides, leaving us with the very elegant 0.25 equals 2 minus 5 over 2 squared equals 3 minus 5 over 2 squared. Nice. What we really want from here is the 2 and the 3, and you can probably see where we're going with this. Taking the square root of all sides cancels out the squares, leaving us with plus minus 0.5 equals 2 minus 5 over 2 equals 3 minus 5 over 2. The reason we write it as plus minus 0.5 is because both positive 0.5 squared and negative 0.5 squared equal 0.25. So we use the plus minus to note that it could be either. Like before, we can add 5 over 2 to all sides to cancel out the negative 5 over 2 that's present, 2 of them. Simplifying again, 0.5 plus 5 over 2 and negative 0.5 plus 5 over 2 equal 3 and 2 respectively. Plugging this into the equation one last time, we get both 3 equals 2 equals 3 and 2 equals 2 equals 3. Then, subtracting 1 from all sides, we get 2 equals 1 equals 2 and 1 equals 1 equals 2. And because of this neat mathematical rule called the law of identity, we can cross out 2 and 1 because they've already been established, which brings us to the end. Both of our acceptable answers are the same, leaving us finally with 1 equals 2. So there you have it, 1 equals 2. You can take this even further by adding to both sides, multiplying on both sides, dividing on both sides, and it goes on to infinity. Make sure you like and subscribe if you think I deserve any of those things, or don't if you delight in the sight of my suffering. Ring this notification bell to get notified of the 2.5 times a year I actually upload things. That's a joke. And make sure you say bye to Gilbert on your way out.